Makita sa mga friends natin.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته جميعا. يا مرحبا, good to see you all. May Allah bless such gatherings. Let me just bring before you this parable, and I want you to pay close attention. Imagine you're traveling and you're approaching a city, okay? And you were told that there are some violations. If you commit in this city, you'll be fined greatly. You'll pay great fine. And the penalty may vary in level. It may reach also death penalty if you commit this violation. It may reach a level where you pay money or so. Will you dare to continue your trip toward that city without pulling aside and studying the violations closely and reading about them, what they are, their nature? When do the one considered to be a person who had fallen into committing a violation? Or will you just continue driving your way and say, inshallah, I will not do any of these violations, although I don't know what they are and their nature, but I'll continue my trip. And Allah is the all-protector, subhanahu wa ta'ala. What do you guys think? Violations may vary in level, right? It may reach death penalty if you commit such violation. You may pay a fortune in some cases from your own wealth as a penalty for that violation. The most wise amongst us certainly will pull over and study the violations, make sure that he understands them very well what they are, in order to avoid committing them, right? Well, subhanallah, ikhwa, when we come into this life and we accept the message of Islam, there are violations in which, if we commit, they may vary in the nature of the penalty that we deserve. In some cases, a violation may make us leave the fold of Islam, wal-'iyadhu billah. So to live a life without even bothering to scrutinize the nature of this violation is a great threat to our future. And of course, you all do know the greatest of all violation is to commit major shirk in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To do an act of disbelief in Allah, the exalted He is. The Quran is full with verses that explicitly warns us against committing such violations. So we as Muslims need to understand what are the acts, statements that if a person does, he leaves the fold of Islam, in order to carry on his life while secured from falling into committing any of these violations. When we see in the Quran Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَنْ يُشْرَكَ بِهِ وَيَغْفِرُ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ. Allah does not forgive to associate partners with Him. And He may forgive whatever is less than that. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to the Prophet himself, peace be upon him, وَلَقَدْ أُوحِيَ إِلَيْكَ وَإِلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ لَإِنْ أَشْرَكْتَ لَيَحْبَطَنَّ عَمَلُكَ. And it was revealed to you, O Muhammad, and those before you, if you commit shirk in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your deeds will be worthless. This said to the most dear person to Allah, the exalted Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So who are we then? If this is the case with Prophet Muhammad, then we should give even greater attention to this matter, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns and scares people of committing such hideous sin. It is the advice of Luqman to his son, يَا بُنَيَّ لَا تُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ إِنَّ الشِّرْكَ لَظُلْمٌ عَظِيمٌ. O son, do not associate partners with Allah. Indeed, shirk is a great dhulm, great injustice, great transgression against the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have to put some time and understand and learn what are the acts and statements that leads person to fall into committing shirk and avoid falling into such practices. We have the book of Tawheed, the book of Aqidah, that mention those violations. Especially when we see an act is spreading around communities, and many communities are falling into such practices. And sometimes people, when they see the masses are falling into doing things, they just neglect the evil behind these actions, and they say, I'm just one of the people, therefore am I going to be punished with all these masses of people if I do such a thing? We say yes, because Allah warned against such practice. When you see people in some areas go to the graves and call the dead people in the grave, asking them for provision, asking them to bring good to them and to keep away evil from them, we said this is a mere violation to the essence of Islam, which is Tawheed, to worship Allah alone, the exalted. So do not say because everyone is doing it, I'm just one of the gang, like they say, right? I'm just one of the herd. Therefore, Allah will not punish all these people for falling into committing such practice. No, Allah will punish them, because Allah explicitly warned against such practices in the Quran and the authentic Sunnah. So my sincere advice to all of us brothers, pay attention to these matters and make them the first issue that you learn in your deen. Any deen that you have around, of course, there are acts which may classify you as a non-believer in that deen, right? If any deen available in this dunya that say there is no kufr in our practices, then they say this is not a deen. A deen without having acts classified as kufr is not a deen, where everything is permissible. And we do know that the only accepted deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inna ad-deena 'inda Allah Islam, indeed is the deen which is accepted before Allah the exalted is Islam. And Islam, the most important tenet of this deen is the issue of Tawheed. Violating Tawheed is a great threat. It's a great violation. The penalty of falling into committing such violation will be for sure an eternal punishment in hellfire or hell below. So we cannot carry on our lives without paying attention to such matter that may threat our future before Allah the exalted. This is why we see Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam made sure that this was among the most important tenets of the deen, which was established in the heart of the companions from day one, that Tawheed must be attained, and safeguard the Tawheed of the companions from the acts and statement that may endanger the existence of that Tawheed. So when he was in Mecca, from day one, he was calling people to apply Tawheed and avoid shirk. And this was the message conveyed to all prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وإلى عاد أخاهم هودا قال يا قوم اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره. He said, "O my people, worship Allah. You have no Rabb, no ilah but Him, the exalted He is." وإلى ثمود أخاهم صالحا قال يا قوم اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره. And Salih called his people, worship Allah. You have no ilah other than Him, the exalted He is. وإلى مدين أخاهم شعيبا. And to the people of Madian, Shu'aib was sent to them, worship Allah. You have no deity worthy of worship but Allah, the exalted He is. So if this is the crux message of Islam, it wouldn't be wise to neglect these important tenets of Islam and carrying on our life, paying attention to matters which are less in priority than Tawheed. Of course, we need to maintain the entire deen. يا أيها الذين آمنوا ادخلوا في السلم كافة. For you believe, take Islam holistically, right? So we do apply every aspect of our life, in our life, the deen, in the most detailed manner, because we really want to increase our reward before Allah the Exalted. Hence, we do our best to apply everything. But the most important issue that we need to pay attention for is our Tawheed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was mentioned that the Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahab, he was teaching his students the Tawheed for so long. And then one time he wanted to test how Tawheed had resonated in their hearts. He said, there was a case in the town where a man built a new house, and at the footstep of his house he slaughtered an animal as something for the devils, to please them in order not to enter the house. The students listened to the issue and they recognized that it is haram, it is wrong, of course. But then he told them another case. He said, there was another case in the town where someone committed an act of incest, and they were upset and angry of the case. How can an incest happen in a Muslim country? He said, I've been teaching you for so long Tawheed, and you displayed a greater anger for the sin, which is major sin, more than the anger that should be displayed toward the major shirk in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because when the students kept insisting upon him that we have studied Tawheed for so long, he gave them this example to test the level of Tawheed in their heart. And when he saw that they displayed more anger for a major sin than the anger for major shirk, he said, still you need to learn Tawheed very well. So this is why I urge myself and my fellow brothers to pay attention to this issue. Learn what are the matters that makes the one leave the fold of Islam. What are the statements? There are statements that may be said that will take you outside the fold of Islam. There are actions that are done may take the one outside the fold of Islam. Learn Tawheed. Learn about shirk. Do your best to distance yourself from falling into committing any of that. So may Allah guide us and increase us in knowledge in order to apply it in our life and meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while we are in the greatest level of iman in Him, the exalted He is. Barakallahu feekum wa jazakumullahu khairan.
Tanong to? Wala akong tanong.